Hey everyone, welcome back to the deep dive. Sometimes it feels like you're running on fumes, right? Like you're constantly giving and giving and giving, and well, you get the picture.
Totally. You're left feeling drained, maybe even resentful. Like, where's all my energy gone?
Exactly. And that's where we're doing a deep dive into Nedra Glover Tawwab's book, Set Boundaries, Find Peace today. This one really hit home for me.
Me too. It's so practical, and Tawwab really breaks it down in a way that just clicks.
Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's lay it out there.
Yeah.
This book isn't about shutting everyone out or becoming like a boundary-obsessed robot.
Yeah, no way. It's about figuring out what you need to feel good, to feel respected, and creating relationships that actually work.
And that starts with setting boundaries. But here's where Tawwab blew my mind. She talks about boundaries being the foundation for respect.
Right. Not walls, but a foundation. Think about it. If you're trying to build a house, you need a solid base.
Otherwise, the whole thing's going to crumble.
Exactly. And it's the same with relationships. Without that foundation of respect, things get shaky fast.
Okay, so we get why boundaries matter. But what kinds of boundaries are we talking about?
Mm.
Because it's not just about saying no, right?
Right. Tawwab breaks it down into different types. Physical boundaries, like your personal space. Emotional boundaries, meaning how much you share with others or let them affect you.
Time boundaries, like being protective of your time and not overcommitting. There are material boundaries.
And even mental boundaries, like respecting different opinions, not letting someone else's thoughts control your own.
Okay, so now I'm thinking, how do I know if my own boundaries need some work? What are the signs?
Well, think about it this way. Do you constantly find yourself saying yes when you really want to say no?
Ooh, guilty is charged sometime.
Or do you feel guilty if you prioritize yourself, even if it's something small?
Ugh, yes. Like, why is that so hard sometimes?
It's super common. And those are some of the classic signs that Tawwab talks about. Feeling obligated to do things you don't want to do, overcommitting all the time.
Feeling responsible for other people's feelings?
Yep, those are all red flags. But the good news is, once you recognize the issue, you can start to fix it.
Okay, so step one. How do we actually start setting those boundaries?
Well, Tawwab stresses that self-awareness is key. You can't set a boundary if you don't even know what you need.
Makes sense. How do we figure that out?
Think about the situations that leave you feeling drained or resentful. What triggers those feelings?
Ooh, that's a good journaling prompt. What leaves you feeling resentful?
Exactly. Writing it down can really help you see the patterns.
Okay, so we figured out where we need boundaries. Now what?
Now we communicate,
Good.
clearly and directly. Vague boundaries lead to vague results.
So instead of saying, I'm busy, when someone asks for something, I should be more specific, like,
Hey, I can't do that right now, but maybe next week.
that's way more helpful. It sets a clear expectation.
Right. It takes practice, but it gets easier.
Okay, but what if people push back? Because let's be real, not everyone's going to love that we're setting boundaries.
True. People who are used to getting their way might not be happy about it, but that's okay.
It's okay to be uncomfortable, right?
Yes. And remember, it's not selfish to prioritize yourself.
I think that's one of the biggest things I took from this book, is that setting boundaries isn't mean. It's actually healthy.
Definitely. It shows self-respect, and in a way, it shows respect for the other person, too, by being honest about your needs.
One thing that really helped me is how Tawwab breaks down all these different scenarios, like dealing with a demanding boss,
Or setting limits with family members who always expect you to be available.
or even dealing with a friend who's constantly asking for favors. It's like, she's been reading my diary.
Right. And she even gives you scripts to use. It's so helpful.
What I loved is how she connects boundaries to self-care. Because at the end of the day, it's about protecting your energy, your time, your mental peace.
Totally. If you're constantly pouring from an empty cup, you'll have nothing left for yourself.
So setting those boundaries is basically like refilling your cup.
Exactly. And you know what's interesting? Healthy boundaries actually strengthen relationships in the long run.
How so?
Well, think about it. When you're clear about your needs and your limits, there's less room for resentment to build up.
And less room for miscommunication and misunderstandings.
Exactly. It fosters a sense of mutual respect and understanding.
All right, so to wrap things up, are you ready to start setting some boundaries?
This deep dive is a great starting point, but Tawwab's book goes even deeper. It's full of tools and exercises that can really help you.
So if you're ready to take control of your life and create healthier relationships, we highly recommend checking out Set Boundaries, Find Peace. It's an investment in yourself.
One last thing to think about. What boundaries do you already have in place? Are they still working for you? Are there areas where you could benefit from stronger boundaries?
That's a great question to ponder. Until next time, happy boundary setting.
See you next time.